Yeah, let's just get right into it. The first matchup we're going to be talking about is a third place match between Echo Fox and Clutch Gaming. Echo Fox win 3-0. What happened in game one? Fox give over a ton of power picks to Clutch Gaming, like Febibin's Azir, Lyra Skarner, and Apollo's Caitlyn. But holy crap, Dardoch goes crazy on Olaf, and they just steamroll over Clutch Gaming. It kind of felt close, but eventually it broke through, and Echo Fox just demolished them. Game two and three, we can just lump them into one game because it was pretty much as long as one game. Dardoch got Olaf again in one of these games, and they just destroyed Lyra collectively as all of Echo Fox. And third game, pretty much the same thing happened, except Lyra got like a rotation of buffs and then got destroyed. Yeah, and then just pretty much Huni, Dardoch, like everyone performed. Echo Fox did really great in 3 games, and they look like their old self. So, I mean, Manny, what did you think about that matchup?
Man, I was kind of hype going into game one because I was like, this. I had flashbacks to Clutch Gaming versus TSM. I was like, wow, that Olaf performance, that was similar to what TSM were able to do that game one, right? Like dominating, like demolished them. Like Fevy, I think, got first blooded, same as like last time. It's just very, very similar. And then Clutch never decided to become Clutch, and it just I was like, oh, this is the Echo Fox that we wanted, and it's kind of sad to see them kind of like falter.
Yeah, I mean, Dardoch just went crazy. I know, Rhino, you want to talk about Dardoch, right? And the Lyra matchup.
I think Dardoch took Lyra to school. He showed him what it felt like to not get any buffs on Skarner. So like all that clear speed doesn't mean anything when you can't get anything until your second rotation. So I think that giving Dardoch Olaf was a massive mistake. And another thing too, like I felt like Clutch Gaming didn't do anything to help Lyra.
Yeah,
It felt like they just kind of left him out to dry.
That, yeah.
So he's like, oh, okay, like, all right, well, I mean, I think it's less Lyra's fault, more Dardoch being able to realize that. So being able to take in like the status of every lane, knowing that some of his lanes would have push priority, and then being able to punish that, and the inability for his team to actually rotate fast enough and realize that his lanes could be there just as fast as the other lanes. So I think it was more so a team effort with Dardoch sort of like leading the way on that rather than Lyra, not being able to perform up to standard. And there's nothing he could really do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Echo, like in these games, it was just so sad to watch because Echo Fox pretty much just mess with everyone level 1. Like they just kept invading, getting down really good wards. They had a good plan going into the game. They just looked like they knew exactly what they wanted to do. And Dardoch was like leading the charge in all of this, while Lyra just seemed like, I mean, we say it's not Lyra's fault, solely his fault, but I mean, I just didn't feel like he spoke up, or he just like, or his team ignored him. Like, because if you're a jungler, you need to be like, hey, I need help, or this is going to happen. Even as a coach between games, you'd be like, this is going to happen again because they have Olaf. Look out for this. And nothing happened on Clutch Gaming's side to support Lyra and just made him, I mean, Dardoch, because he got that advantage, just really went into every lane, screwing up everything and killing everyone. It was just so sad to see.
There couldn't be a better champion for him to do it on too, right? Like, there's no better champion to get like a huge early lead on than Olaf, because he can literally just steamroll into your lane, destroy you under tower, and walk away like nothing happened. So once he got control of like top side, he just like he and Huni were just a menace to solo. No matter what you did, Lyra couldn't be there. Clutch Gaming couldn't rotate, and this is not shitting on Lyra because I still think Lyra is a really higher tier jungler. I still think he's upper of the pack. But it just felt like there's nothing that could be done. Like it's just it was less on Lyra, more so on Clutch Gaming to try and react to help him. And I just felt like they left him out to dry.
And I agree. And the thing is, like, it's sad because I feel like when Lyra was in Envy last year, right? He was the center of that team. Clearly the center of that team, right? He was everything. And kind of like he's been having like these growing pains of being an NA, like a second year, away from his family. He doesn't feel like fans support him as much, and I feel like this also like affects him. So it's not all on Lyra. right? But I feel like what Sam was saying is he hasn't spoken up, right? He didn't speak up. Maybe he did, right? We don't have
Mhm.
all the comms, and things would be easier if we did, but it was still kind of like heartbreaking to see because yeah, I to me this series was jungle decided it, right? Like the jungle just 100% decided it.
Yeah.
We didn't get to see Clutch Gaming. Like, we didn't see Clutch Gaming do anything. Like, everyone thought, like, Clutch Game. I know Mark Z and Jed were, like, all talking about, the analysts that's were all talking about Clutch Gaming has this mental fortitude that is, like, higher than any team. They've just steadily progressing, getting better and better. And, like, they didn't get a chance to do anything because in pro, sometimes the game is lost at 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. And we just saw that Echo Fox, holy crap, just took the lead so quickly and never let go. And we kind of saw that old Echo Fox that we saw at the beginning of the split, where they just created chaos and just rampant. I mean, we all agree, and I think the general public agrees that Dardoch played out of his mind and like played really, really well. Uni played Camille 2 games, so he was playing a carry into this tank meta. Phoenix, no one has been talking about Phoenix lately, except that, oh my gosh, DeMonte should replace him. Phoenix might be mindset tilted, blah, 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 blah. Well, look, he actually dominated most of his lanes, if not every. I'm pretty sure he dominated every lane.
Oh yeah, no, I mean,
Even this game 3-0 was clean as hell. Like,
Yeah,
he was so good.
I think like people had been saying, "Oh, I'm tired of hearing about the Phoenix scapegoat and stuff like that." And I agree, but when you try to like pinpoint something, right? I think he was one of the more glaring ones alongside their bot lane, right? It was like that bottom half of the map was like, what is going on? Bevan had been able to go to the limit against Bjergsen, go to against playing his style, and he got punished for his style of I'm not gonna roam, I'm gonna stay in my lane. It was like you're gonna stay in your lane and you're gonna die like 5 times, right? Like it hadn't happened. Like Fevin hadn't died more than 3 times in a single game. He like died 4 times, and they kept getting like those kinds of records. He had never lost in a Azir. He lost in a Azir, right? Like they weren't afraid to give them their comfort because they knew, right? Like Phoenix is known as like an Azir god, right? It's like, yeah,
Yes.
give that champion to that motherfucker. He doesn't. I know everything, right? Like,
Yeah.
and it kind of showed, right? It kind of showed like Clutch Gaming was always on the back foot, but they were never able to kind of like switch it around, counter, right?
Yep.
Which is what they did against TSM. And that's kind of like what I was waiting for because they had shown this, but it never occurred. And
I mean, it looked promising in game 1 too. Like Clutch Gaming, like I felt like Echo Fox still had the whole game, but Clutch was like showing like, oh, look at that, we got 4 kills eventually in return because Echo Fox just were too aggressive, and we took advantage of Echo Fox's I don't want to say sloppy play, but chaotic, really, really aggressive play. But then it didn't matter because like you just got steamrolled. And then game 2 and 3, boom.
Yeah. Well, I just think about it like, think about how the teams want to play, right? It feels like Clutch Gaming wants to do a play with 95% certainty, and it feels like Echo Fox will do it faster, but with 75% certainty, right?
Or like 45.
It's gonna work. Well, even. Well, still, the point is though, like they're
like,
willing
hey,
to roll the dice.
4v5.
They're willing to like roll the dice, and if you can perform a play before Clutch has enough time to calculate how to go about like solving the problem, then it's too fast, right? So I think they did the right thing. They put the pedal in the metal. They ramped up the game to a speed where Clutch Gaming couldn't keep up and Clutch Gaming couldn't react, which I think was the main point. If you can beat Clutch Gaming to team play, then you can completely exploit the fact that you never have to reach that team play atmosphere where your chaotic style starts to fall off.
Yeah, I love the way Echo Fox play, and I wish more of the NALCS teams played this way, because what I see is that Echo Fox has a confidence to take a unfavorable play because like we can outplay them and we can do it fast and we are better than them. Like they play with a confidence which is really, really awesome. I think we saw that in like Team Liquid this weekend too. But yeah, they play fast. They play like Dominion, it's fast and fun. So I just really love seeing that. I wish
fast it was.
I wish that Echo Fox could have been in the final conversation. Oh, they were in the final conversation for the whole split until their demise. But I would have loved to see Echo Fox in the final to see what they could have done against not a Clutch Gaming, like a solid team that knew what they're doing, kind of thing.
Yeah, like I really think it's really interesting. Is like Clutch Gaming and 100 Thieves have sort of similar things where it's like they play really passive until they get to mid game, or they have very calculated early games so that they play mid game on autopilot. They both do this. So
I was actually gonna bring that up because it's kind of like the whole idea of like, they're so good at macro, right? Every week. Like the 100 Thieves, how did they win? They're so good at macro. They slowed the game down to 80 minutes, macroed them. I was like, okay, right? But the way you counter that is, I don't give a fuck about your macro, right? Like,
yeah,
at game 3, and I don't want to go into specifics. There is one of the 3 games, obviously, where Echo Fox are pushing into the base, and Huni gets caught out. It was game 3, I actually now remember, and Huni gets caught out on Camille. Right, and then all of Clutch Gaming like goes back, returns to the base, and without a doubt in their mind, Echo Fox just like flashes forward and takes the 4v5 fight, beats them to win the game. It's just like, what the hell? Like, what's going on, right? And I think, like I mean, well, we're echoing a lot in the sense of like, we're saying quite a bit of like, this is kind of like what we wanted to see, but I think like Echo Fox, again, once their bot lane was kind of like dominated a bit, that was like their big weakness because then they couldn't play that chaotic style without their AD carry being very far behind. And you can't go for a 4v5 if your AD carry is that one that's not there, even if he is there, if he's dead, or right. And they knew how to counteract Clutch Gaming playstyle pretty well. And I mean, I think that's why this weekend ended up showing why the Echo Fox Team Liquid side of the bracket was now kind of like confirmed, but arguably like the much stronger side, right?
I think it's the extremes in each spectrum, right? Like you see the person that's super clean on playing the standard style, and the other side. That's why I was thinking about this earlier. I was thinking, what would it be like if it was Echo Fox and TL in the finals, right? Like, because now you see what happens when you have 2 teams that are like average go up against 2 teams on the complete opposite ends of the spectrum, right? So you have 2 teams that play super passive early games or calculated early games, and then try to play mid to late, and then try and outplay that way. Well, against people that play super standard and are just going to bring the fight to you, and people that play super chaotic and are going to be up in your face and you have no choice but to fight them. So the only way you can like actually think about playing is if you play super heavy early game, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I wonder like what that would have been like to have super standard versus.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the main reason I wanted, like, aside from obviously my bias towards TSM, but I did want to see that semifinal of 100 Thieves versus Team Liquid, right? Of like, because hindsight 2020, we say, yeah, Team Liquid wins it, right? But then, yeah, we could have seen the difference of like the higher level of play. And I'm not trying to disrespect the 100 Thieves at all. I think great organization, great team, and we'll talk about them shortly. But it definitely echoes a lot and what Clutch Gaming is was trying to do, and why they failed. And I mean, it also shows why that series had gone to 5 games, right? Had similar play styles, and just like one got the edge over the other. And that last game again was just heartbreaking for Clutch Gaming because they could have won it, if it wasn't just against 5 tanks or 4 tanks, right?
Yeah. So one thing we haven't talked about is the bot lane of Echo Fox. This was a huge worry going at the end of the season, going into playoffs, and even the Echo Fox. Who did Echo Fox just play before Clutch Gaming? They played
Liquid.
Team Liquid. There was worry about the bot lane going into there. What do we say about the bot lane from this game? Because I know Adrian was roaming like crazy on some of those games, pulling out the Nami, playing the lane aggressively. And I think we saw an upgrade somehow with that bot lane.
I think it's a little bit of give and take, right? Like for the games where they wanted to play top lane centric and mid centric, where they wanted to do all their fights on the top side of the map, like where Dardoch would go crazy, I think they sort of came to an agreement where it's like, all right, let's get like a really stagnant, neutralized bot lane, let top lane and mid lane do its thing, and then we'll be useful because we're just lane locking bot lane to not be able to roam anywhere. And then on games where it was like, okay, well, we don't have Olaf, or we don't want to play super heavy onto top side yet, or we think we can beat this draft for bot lane, then I think they drafted accordingly. I think it was all planned as to, like, especially the Kalista game. Was that game 2 or 3? I forget.
I think 3.
Game 3, where they picked Kalista bot lane. They're like, all right, we don't have Olaf, and we gave away Azir though, but that's okay. So like, Azir can come down bot lane if he wants to.
No, they had Azir. They had Azir on the third game.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But they got Azir, but they got banned out from Olaf.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. So that we don't have Olaf, we can't face roll into jungle. So let's pick something that we're comfortable on bot lane and try and get an advantage that way. But don't do anything that's too volatile. I think that's the name of the game. They wanted to minimize volatility with comfort.
Yeah, and I think the other key factor is that Hakuo was in his Haku yes, kind of like peak, right? I think Hakuo was pretty quiet for the first 2 games. He did a little bit more in the third one with his Morgana, but it wasn't much, right? I think he got it in the third game.
Yeah, we didn't get to see him do anything. He played Braum and Tom Kench the other 2 games, right? So then he just like you can't really make crazy plays with those like a Thresh or Morgana. But we said Morgana didn't. Again, they lost the game before like 5 minutes, so what can you do? Yeah. But
what's really interesting to see is when Adrian saw to pick Nami to harass the melee supports. That's what was really interesting to me, because we haven't seen that yet, right? So like going into semis, we didn't see people say, "Oh, yo, let's just pick a range support that's sustained, so we can just harass down the melee support." And that way we can get an advantage that way, right? So we sort of eliminate the threat of him jumping in because he's going to die. Braum specifically.
Yeah, and I think like the key point there, right, to go into the reasoning for some of our fans, if you aren't aware, it's like it would work out. Obviously, if you have a melee tank champion, the later the game, the more useful you are, because the more unkillable you'll be. And Enchantresses kind of like fall off a bit, but because of the way that Echo Fox were playing their games of, hey, it's under 25 minutes, let's finish this game now, right? You never got to that point where like, oh, he's unkillable. Braum got hit by a bubble, he's dead. 2 shot, dead, right? Like, and that ended up working out so well. And yeah, I think like teams weren't really prepared, or Clutch wasn't really prepared for that, and it was sad because I think Apollo is a solid bot laner, but he's not necessarily the, oh my god, he just 1v5 cleaned house and stuff. He's kind of like enabled by his support, and Hakuo was kind of like shackled down, and I think that's also a big reason of he couldn't impact the map, and he couldn't get the rest of the team to come bot, right? Because they were losing so much top. So it was kind of like everything was falling apart, that they couldn't go back to their like classic, the way they beat TSM and stuff.
Yep. Cool. Anything else you guys want to say closing out Clutch Gaming versus Echo Fox?
Nah, I think that was a fast enough time to compensate for the 76 minutes complete total game time.
Yeah. Which I'm pretty sure was like the fastest series.
It was the fastest series in any playoff ever.
Yeah, it was nuts. so gross.
All I'm saying is, if I was a finals ticket holder, I'd have been pissed. I'd have been like, wow, I literally traveled across the country for 70 minutes. Holy.